Good afternoon, Commissioners. If we will come to order, we'll begin our monthly regular Anderson County Budget Committee meeting for Thursday, April 7, 2022, 4 o'clock p.m. Robbie, if you would, call the roll, please.
Okay, Commissioner Creasy.
Present.
Commissioner Denenberg.
Here.
Commissioner Fritz. Commissioner Jameson.
Here.
Commissioner Smallridge.
Here.
Commissioner Waddell.
Here.
And Commissioner White. We have two.
Fritz and White are downstairs, they'll be here.
Okay.
Let the record reflect, we do have a quorum. If y'all will join me, I'll lead us in prayer, and we'll ask Commissioner Waddell if he would to lead us in the pledge. Heavenly Father, we come to you again thanking you for everything that you do for us every day. Most of all for saving us, but for also giving us the opportunity to represent your people, our people, Lord. And we pray, God, that you be with us today as we do that. Please forgive us of our sins. Strengthen us, Lord, not to sin. Strengthen us, Lord, as we enter into this meeting, that we seek your ways, your guidance, your discernment, Lord, your will for what we would do, not necessarily our own. We pray, God, that you fill the room with a common spirit. We pray, Father, that you ever give us your utterance, Lord, your guidance. All this we ask in Jesus' holy name. Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Commissioners. Let the record reflect Commissioner White is present.
Commissioner Fritz is on his way.
All right. First item on the agenda is the cash and fund balance report. Director Robbie Holbrook, go ahead, sir.
All right, thank you, Chairman Bell. Restricted funds were $947,096 at the end of March. Committed funds, $1.7 million. Assigned funds are $3.1 million. Unassigned fund balance is $7.2 million for a total fund balance of $13,074,331. Cash is $19,126,638, which is $1.2 million up from last year at this time.
Any questions on the cash and fund balance report? Let the record reflect Commissioner Fritz is present. Continue on, Robbie.
Okay, in the sales tax report, February, the county as a whole was at $3.4 million. That's down 3% from last year in February. Anderson County's portion, there was a 4% increase in February. So there's sales tax is starting to, like we've talked about the last few meetings, steady, just level off a little bit.
Any questions on the local option sales tax revenue? Hearing none, moving on.
Okay. On the consent agenda, there are 1 through 15 transfers not requiring Commission's approval. I can take those as a group or answer any questions.
Motion to move as a group.
Commissioner Denenberg moves to approve items 1 through 15 as a group. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Jameson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
Okay, for the schools, transfers and appropriations 16 through 21, we're going to pull 22 out.
Do we have a motion on items 16 through 22?
21.
I'm sorry, 21. You just said that. I apologize.
What does those items cover?
Well, the first three are, or the first four are transfers. One is with payroll, and the next three are major line items, and payroll. One is payroll major line item.
Yeah.
They're teacher salaries for LEAPS grant to reconcile the state-approved budget is the second one. We're transferring funds for CTE competitive team travel to national competitions and 3 different categories, and those competitions are in California, Texas, and Nashville. And the last one is to transfer funds as needed for HR contracted services such as employee drug testing and background checks.
Yeah, and could I ask you to list each, or
You want
speak and announce each item so
Sure.
that our public can understand what we're voting for?
Yes, the
Please.
first one is $1,529 for travel. And it's increasing travel, and it's decreasing career ladder program $1,000, staff development $129, and other equipment $400. It's to transfer unused funds as needed for travel reimbursements to social workers and attendance employees.
Thank you.
That's the first. We could take these individually if we want to read every one of them.
Well, if we're gonna vote from 1 through 6, I'd like them all be listed
Okay.
and spoken so that everyone knows exactly what we're voting on.
Right.
Thank you.
So I'm doing them as a group. So number 2, the second one from the schools affects payroll and major line items. It's increasing teacher salaries, $11,556, educational assistance, $16,875, Social Security, $2,184, retirement, $2,971, Medicare, $6,216, travel, $1,000, and indirect costs, $3,791. And it's decreasing $71,400, 105, program director, $4,988, clerical personnel, $600, other salaries and wages, $28,936, other contracted services, $3,375, food supplies, $2,000, instructional supplies and materials, $2,173.10, other supplies and materials for $1,523.21, and staff development, $1,000. It's to transfer funds within the LEAPS grant to reconcile with a state-approved budget as reflected in the E-Plan. Okay, the third one is for travel. We're increasing travel $25,000 and decreasing instructional materials and supplies $15,000 and other materials and supplies $10,000. It's to transfer funds for CTE competitive team travel to national competitions and Family Career and Community Leaders of America, Technology Student Association, and Health Occupation Student Association. These national competitions are hosted in California, Texas, and Nashville. And the last one is for $10,000. It's increasing other contracted services and decreasing other contracted services. It's $72,520 and to $71,100. To transfer funds as needed for HR contracted services such as employee drug testing and background checks.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
So now do we have a motion to approve items 16 through 19, was that?
Well, I need to do 22. I'm sorry, I left one off. 20 is a decrease and committed for other purposes, $405,000, and they're increasing contracts with vehicle owners, $125,000, administrative equipment, $240,000, and motor vehicle, $40,000. The explanation is to appropriate funds for estimated fuel escalation costs due to bus owners, purchase of school safety security camera systems, and the purchase of vehicle for safety director. The safety vehicle was approved and encumbered in the previous fiscal year, but the state contracted vendor was unable to deliver within an appropriate time frame, so the previous purchase order was canceled, and new approval is requested for another vehicle. So that covers it.
And I know you said you were taking off 22. You were
Well,
taking off
21.
21 as well?
I have to do 21 too,
Okay.
sorry.
It's all right.
21 is increasing other state revenue, $47,573.32, and increasing teacher salaries, $47,573.32. Is to appropriate the 21-22 carryover for lottery for education after-school programs at Briceville, Claxton, Dutch Valley, Grand Oaks, Norris, and Norwood Elementary Schools, as well as Clinton and Norwood Middle Schools. It's for the LEAPS grant carryover money.
Good. So now we have the reading and the explanations of each one. Before we have discussion, do we have a motion?
Move for approval as a group.
Commissioner Fritz moves to approve those items as a group, seconded by Commissioner Jameson. Any discussion? Commissioner Smalley?
Yeah, I was wondering about the safety, the security camera systems. Where will they be used? After the buses?
No, every year we do a safety audit of the schools, and these are replacing or upgrading cameras that are in our schools at this present time. And we were looking at doing part of it this year and part of it next year, but we're still on last year's bid, and they've already told us the bid is probably gonna go up 25 to 35%. And so we wanted to go ahead and try to just buy them this year and get them. They still say they're 6 to 8 months out, but go ahead and get them encumbered. That way the price won't go up.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Commissioner White.
Thanks, sir. Dr. Clerk, committed for other purposes, $405,000.
Yes.
That seems like that's awful vague. Committed for other purposes.
That's fund balance. That's in your, that's the money that's in the fund balance. It's not committed for anything. It's just, it has to be, we have to put something down, and then it has to be approved. You have to take it from fund balance and then to use it. It's just like when you all do it for your, I don't know, you all call it something different.
We call it unassigned fund balance.
You all call it unassigned fund balance. We call it fund equity, I think is what.
Other purposes.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
Good
Chairman.
question, Mr. White.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
Okay, number 4 is from the library. It's an appropriation for $1,085 from local restricted funds, increased maintenance and repairs. It's a one-time transfer to cover expenses for electrical
So
and
moved.
plumbing issues.
Second.
Motion to approve item number 23 by Commissioner White, seconded by Commissioner Smallridge. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
Okay, the next one is from EMS. It's decreasing fund balance $71,500, increasing uniforms $10,000, linen $13,500, medical supplies $10,000, tires $3,000, vehicle parts $10,000, and gasoline $25,000.
And this is their fund balance, not ours, and I'll move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Fritz moves to approve item number 24, seconded by Commissioner White. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
25 and 26 are from Jeff Cole, County Clerk. The first one's increasing data processing fees $1,000 and data processing equipment $1,000. They're
Motion to
purchasing
approve.
5 printers for the county clerk's office.
Second.
Commissioner
25
White
and 26.
moves to approve items number 25 and 26,
Yes, sir.
seconded by Commissioner Fritz. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
Appropriation number 27 is from the Highway Department, increasing fuel $60,000 and tires $20,000, and taking out of restricted for highways.
I'll second.
Commissioner Waddell moves to approve item number 27, seconded by Commissioner Denenberg. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
The next appropriation is from Animal Care and Control from the mayor. There's increasing communications $1,300 and decreasing restricted for public health and welfare, animal holding $1,300.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner White moves to approve item number 28, seconded by Commissioner Smallridge. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
Okay, 29 and 30 are from the Sheriff's Department. The first one is increasing revenue, school revenue, $23,610. It's where their security officers, or they work security for ball game, the officers do. And the school pays us the revenue, and we paid out of the sheriff's budget, so we're increasing SRO wages that amount. And the next one is from unassigned fund balance, $75,000 for gas.
Commissioner Waddell moves to approve items number 29 and 30. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jameson. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Fritz.
You see this take me to the end of the fiscal year for the gas?
We hope so. We want to, I mean,
You never know what the price is out of
well,
this and
the
everything.
net, previous lifetime. Me, sent me a text message about 30 minutes of the meeting that now has me sweating.
locally, they're saying the gas may start coming down some, so we'll see.
That'd be
I'm
awesome.
not holding my breath for that to happen.
You know something we don't?
Yeah. We'll be like Back to the Future, put bananas and stuff. Be good to go.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner White?
Thanks, sir. Last week, or 2 weeks ago, we approved $45,000 for the sheriff's department for gas. This is, 75,000 is on top of that 45,000?
That was for next.
That's for, the 45, the last week's was for next year's budget. They were asking for that increase in next year's budget.
Okay.
This is the only increase they've asked so far for this year.
Thanks, sir.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried.
And the last budget amendment I have is from IT for communications, and it's asking for from unassigned fund balance, $5,583.72 for, Fund 30, for Code 307 courthouse fiber and landline communication to close out the fiscal year with AT&T.
Commissioner Jameson moves to approve item number 31. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smallridge. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Commissioner Small.
So I assume from reading this that this will be reimbursed, it's an overcharge, is that correct?
Well, what's going on is one of our vendors that come out of that code is AT&T, and we've switched things from the Jolly to the jail facility. And during that time, the bills have went erratic with AT&T, so they've been overcharging and they've depleted part of our budget, and now it's coming back down and they're going to send credits. They're working to get our credits, but AT&T takes a couple of months. So in the meantime, we still have to pay those bills out of that code, and they will be refunding us, but I have to survive until then, so kind of need some assistance to get to that mark.
So this credit from them should make up for what we're taking out of the fund balance? pretty much?
Absolutely, absolutely, yes.
Any further discussion?
I'd just like to say I commend our IT director for saving us so much money on our communications. He has worked real hard at that during the time that he's been working for us, and I'm very proud of what he's been doing for us.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. When this credit comes through, it's probably going to be close to 40 plus. I would estimate it probably 45, 46, but we're still debating on the second number. But it takes AT&T a couple of months to get through their process for the credit. They're never fast, so,
And are you saying thousands?
yes, 45,000. Yes, that should be
The
what they
public
return.
would like to hear that
Yeah.
in the thousands. Yes,
They've
thank you.
overcharged us is what's happened, and they
Right.
even know they have, and it's just a matter of, their company is so large, the logistics, our sales rep explains it, that he feels like he's a credit manager now instead of a sales rep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Fritz.
A few years ago, when we were short on funds at that time, and there was a lot of talk about trying to hire an IT director and go that route and form this department, I was very skeptical about whether we should even pursue that route. I just want to make sure our citizens know that we can't afford not to go on that route and hire this position for the fact, that how this department has saved this county so much over the years. It has more than saved this county the cost of his department in the long run.
Thank you.
And it's probably one of the best moves that this county has done in a long time. And it has not only benefited not one department, but has benefited every department in this county. And I think every department in this county has utilized him. And because of what him and his people has to offer. And I know I'm not a computer person. I tell people I'm computer illiterate. But these guys are awesome, and they do a lot for every person in here, and they are very commendable.
I appreciate you, Commissioner Fritz. We will continue to do the same and bring savings every angle we can find it. We feel that's part of our role in doing IT, is not just the information technology, but the savings behind it. A lot of in the past, before we were here, things like that could happen, but we keep literally, we're on everything that happens, and you all have us working with the purchasing department, verifying what we order, looking at the invoices before they actually go out. So I really feel that you all working with our department as well has enabled this county to get the savings as well. It's a team effort, and I appreciate you all as well working with our department to get here, because it's been I think we've all had to get there, but I do appreciate it.
I might
Any
make
further?
one comment,
Commissioner
too.
White, go ahead, sir.
You know, as we go around, this is election time, as everybody knows, and we're going around looking for votes and asking for support. And, you know, people criticize the commission sometimes for, we've made some bad choices over the years. We've made some bad decisions. But, you know, years ago, we hired Leon Jaquette, and that's one of the best hires that we've ever done for the veterans and for these people. And then we didn't even know we needed an IT guy. And then the mayor come along, you know, and suggested this, and we didn't know we needed him. And Brian's done an awesome job. And then there's Nathan back there. Look what he's done for the ambulance service, EMS. So, you know, we've made some mistakes, and we've tried to go past those, but we have made some good decisions on this commission.
Absolutely.
We really have.
I agree.
And there stands one of them, and I'll hush.
I agree. Thank you all.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried. All right, Commissioners, before we get started on the next section of the agenda, I'd like to make a request, a respectful request. I know that we're making very, very, very important decisions here tonight, and I know sometimes there's comments that we want to make and there's points that we want to make in opposition of or in favor of certain requests. But I like to make a request tonight of the committee. When someone is speaking, if we would please allow them to finish speaking, and we will make sure as a chair that we make every opportunity that we can to recognize each person, that everybody will get an opportunity to speak. I believe that the heavy lifting is done on the committee level, so I want everybody to have an opportunity here to be able to ask questions and speak, voice their opinions. And certainly when we have a speaker at the podium, if we would allow them to finish what they're saying first before we jump in. If you'll just raise your hand, let me know. I'll try to make a better effort to look around the room and make sure that everybody has an opportunity to speak on everything before we dismiss here today. Thank y'all. All right, moving on, the 22-23 proposed budgets. Director
Yes.
Holbrook.
Sure, thank you. So let's talk about where we are.
Mr. Chairman, did we vote on the tourism?
Well, that's going to be under new business because it was added late.
Oh, okay.
She just requested that right before we came down here, so it will have to be brought up under new business. It wasn't on the agenda. So in the budget process, let's talk about where we are. All general fund budgets have been approved except the HR budget, mayor, county clerk, and all the sheriff's budgets. Also, tourism and solid waste need approval. And the Family Justice Center addition that was approved for this year's budget would also need to be approved for next year's budget. That was discussed in county commission. So if you take a look at what I handed out to you guys tonight, the 3-page handout, the first page, the general fund line, you'll see that our budgeted revenues are $31,896,873. And budgeted expenditures are $31,260,040, which leaves an excess of $636,833. And these expenditures include everything that was passed in the budget hearings. It also has the family justice position already in there. And all the sheriff department changes. Even though they haven't been approved yet by this committee, I put them in there to show you where we were at with revenues and expenditures. So last meeting, before that meeting, the sheriff, Randy, and the mayor and I had met with Tyler for 2 or 3 hours that day and discussed that we were going to discuss the sheriff's budget. And we decided in that meeting, the biggest problem with the sheriff is the detention facility. We had to make some changes there. I mean, they had more than 20 openings, And the sheriff has his office set up down there, and it was a very stressful work environment. And so we decided to focus on that, and a decision was made in that meeting to increase starting pay to $18.81 an hour for the detention facility, plus give the deputy starting pay $1 more an hour. And because of all the openings and all the turnover, there was enough money in this year's budget to go ahead and make that change, and we have made that change. So, but it would need to be approved for next year's budget. That's in this budget, in the current expenditures. So that puts us ahead of the game as far as I know. I mean, the sheriff or Tyler may disagree, but I think our detention facility workers now, we're $18.81 is paying more than everyone around us except maybe Morgan County, and it's a state detention facility. And the state increases were very large this year. Also increased deputy security and dispatch starting pay 5 to 6% increase. That's in this budget. That's in the expenditures already with the $600,000. I did that so we would know where we stand after these changes. So if you look at page 3 of the handout I gave you earlier, you can see each percentage increase that would cost the county. For example, if you go to the second part of it, general fund, $8,209.41 is how much is the amount that employees in the county that they make that have not received a raise yet. So if you gave them a 4% raise, that's $374,299, which our budget can handle. A 5% raise, $467,874. I don't think I mean, I recommend, in my opinion, I would stick with a 4 or 5% raise because I don't think our fund balance, with the uncertainties of the economy, gas prices, I think we should keep ourselves a little bit of a bubble just in case we need that money for other changes in the, coming in the future for the county in the next budget season. And I hope that explains I mean, I know we weren't really clear on that. That's what we were trying to get to last 2 weeks ago. But if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Commissioner Fritz.
First, you talk about these salaries and everything. That's what you would like to. You can't authorize anything unless we vote on it.
No, that, and Nick, I didn't authorize that. They have the money in their budget to make those changes.
That's
this
up
year.
to the end of the fiscal year.
Yes.
Come July 1.
And I said that when I was talking. I said it would have to be approved for next year's
Any
budget.
new money has come from this commission.
That is correct.
So,
I just put it in the budget so you would know where we stand. Sometimes
Okay.
it's easy to talk about these things and you don't see it in black and white. This shows you where we're at with
okay,
those
so the
changes.
636,833,
Yes,
that includes money already given to the sheriff with all the raises and everything.
that's correct.
And that's additional, and that's coming from all recurring money.
That is correct.
Okay. So, before we start looking at all the other raises, we got other departments that are needing salary adjustments before we start giving them other raises.
And they're on there too. They would have to come from their fund.
Unless we give them money.
The general fund cannot give other funds money.
We have in the past.
And we have been corrected now by audit that when you're taxed for a particular purpose in that fund, it has to be used in that fund.
So in other words, the money we give the highway department right now is illegal.
I don't know that we're giving the highway department any money.
We give the highway department tax dollars.
That's because that was voted on in a resolution to give the highway department
Well,
that.
we can do the same thing again.
You can, yes. You would have to move that around,
Yeah,
yes.
I'm saying, we.
Adjustments would need to be made to give other funds. EMS, solid waste would need adjustments.
And highway department even again. We got employees still, they're making, basically, they can still go to McDonald's and make more money. And that's what I'm not talking about.
This page 3 shows adjustments. The raise would be if you did a cost of living raise, that would be for each department. Highway, that includes everyone. That doesn't include everyone with the.
You're not paying a bit attention to what I'm saying.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not. We're saying before we give raises, it's like what we're giving the sheriff's department. Then we give the sheriff's department their adjustments to try to keep them people there. Then we need to give we'll do whatever we need to do to make adjustments to the highway department employees and the EMS employees, a decent wage before we start making salaries things. I mean,
That's,
how much are EMS employees making an hour? Are they making 18 or more an hour?
not starting out,
And I know the highway department is not making no more than,
no, they have several that are below that. But we aren't
they have a lot below that.
And they have some above it too. But we also aren't having any issues keeping highway employees or EMS employees right now.
Well,
And we're not gonna have to close the EMS department down. There were thoughts we might have to close the jail if they can't have enough
But
employees.
that's not what the change though. That's what this commission is supposed to be looking at, is making salary adjustments. And that's why I asked our HR director to look at, do what we need to do to adjust the salaries for all of our lower departments first. And and it looked like, you as the finance director only looked at one department. I wanted all the departments to come back, and to say what we needed to do to adjust all the lower departments. Okay, you did a good job in addressing the sheriffs. Now we need to look at what we need to do to take care of our highway department, who are making pitiful wages. I mean, our highway guys are making, very bad money.
In my opinion, Road Superintendent Gary Long has had the money in his budget to make those adjustments he's paying his employees what he wants to pay them. He has money in his budget. He has
He has
right
money
now
in the budget
currently,
to do,
a
I mean,
$2.5
we
million
need to take the money
fund
or
balance.
Fix the roads. And, and we definitely ain't got roads. That wasn't what I asked, to do. I asked,
Mr. Chairman,
the law director,
Go ahead, sir.
again, I asked the law director, not the law director, the HR director, again, the three departments to come back and see what we had to do to help our employees who are making pitiful wages, to make a salary adjustment up, to get them up to where they are making comparable wages to other departments throughout the surrounding counties. And we did it only for one department. We got one more, this is nothing against the sheriff's department, but we got, more than one department other than the sheriff's department. Regardless where people are leaving or not, we still got extremely underpaid employees. And you can sit there and smirk and grin all you want to, but we still have underpaid employees.
Commissioners, let's please keep it professional as much as we can, not try to
thank
get
you.
personal.
But when I'm talking, I appreciate no smirks and grins and things of that nature. Including from fellow commissioners.
Yeah, well, you're embarrassing.
No, what's embarrassing is, I asked for something to be done, and it wasn't done.
It's been done. They're taking care of it. We gotta handle one thing at a time. We can't just do it all at once.
You're
Robbie, I'd
happy,
like to hear more from you about
you're
it.
We've
happy
made
because the sheriff's
changes.
department's been taken care of, and not the other
Commissioners,
departments.
can we please?
I mean, Nathan can speak to this, but we've made changes in the EMS department for the last 2 years that improved his department and wages and schedule. Nathan, would you like to speak to that? I mean, I think he would be in agreement with that. And I've been saying this for the last 2 meetings, but Commissioner Fritz still is calling that we're not paying them enough.
Well, so I guess I have a couple of things I could add to that. Yes, our turnover rate in EMS has gotten better. In the last 6 months, it has improved quite a bit. That's 6 months. I know of 5 to 6 staff members that are on their way out over the next 6 months, but not for bad reasons. I've got 2 that they want to work in a fire department, so they've applied to go work for a fire department. I've got one lady who wants to go to PA school. I mean, she told us last fall she was trying to get in, and I offered a letter of support for her to go this coming fall. So she's looking to get into PA this fall. There's others that are making advanced opportunities for dreams, goals, aspirations they have. fully support that, but that's 5 to 6 positions to fill. I'm not getting the applications like we were last year. So I know for our department, although we have made improvements and we are better, if we stay where we're at with the way that the economy's going, that definitely is not maintainable. Hiring EMTs at $13.25 an hour in the inflation that we're seeing is gonna be harder. I've got a gentleman, brand new EMT. He's got a family, 3 kids. He said he can only afford single insurance as a $13.25 EMT. So that's all he has. So that's a decision that him and his family are having to make. Will he stay here? Maybe, maybe not, because everyone else is going up. If we have a propensity, Anderson County in particular, that we're kind of playing catch-up all the time. And I see that in a lot of departments. And in the public safety sector, since Anderson County has a law enforcement and an EMS sector, public safety is extremely hard to recruit for. Less people want to get into police, fire, and EMS than they ever have. On the fire side, we don't have. On the fire
Go ahead,
side,
Director Sweet.
9/11 has wore off. We're hiring people that weren't even born when 9/11 happened. Law enforcement side, there's so much bad publicity with that. Law enforcement struggling to find people to recruit that want to do the work, and the same for EMS. People are not looking for these jobs like they used to. So for us to continue that trend, for the improvement on the public safety side that Anderson County is a part of, we're gonna have to stay above the trends, not catching up to them. So I do believe the law enforcement and what the moves that they're making absolutely justified. And I'm not in that department, but fully support it. I will say for the dispatchers, 100% support it as well. They support our department as well. I'll stop talking for now.
Commissioner Creasy, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Nathan kind of jumped in front of me there. I was wanting to make a comment. I'd like to see us get back to the finance director. He was leading us very good, and he was explaining it exceptionally well, what we were doing in the budget. And I want to applaud him for that. He did an excellent job of explaining something I could understand. And I want you to continue, if the chairman will allow you, to continue with your leadership in this budget and addressing the budget committee. And I appreciate what you were doing. And I didn't approve of some of the earlier comments made. And I cannot sit here and let them be said without saying what I think about what was said. So please continue, provided the chairman allows. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Creasy. Yes, sir, go ahead, Robbie.
I mean, I was trying because I think so many of us were confused at the budget hearings with what happened, because the meeting did get out of hand, and it was kind of, I mean, it was hard to understand. But, I mean, I was trying to put everything I could to put in the budget to show us where we stood revenue-wise. The sheriff came to me and asked us to work with him, so we did. Mr. Long, we've worked with Nathan in the past. Mr. Long's not asked us. I know Kim in HR has worked with him some to help him with his employee wages, if I'm not mistaken. We are working on that. Some of these things can't be done overnight. It's a slow process. Nathan, obviously we started this 2 years ago. We're still working on it. I mean, I know the detention facility is a common problem in every county, open positions. I'm not sure you could pay them. It matters what we pay them, because it's a tough job. I mean, let's be honest, how many of us could handle that job? I don't think I could. But I was just showing us where we're at, because the cost of living is, we looked it up today, in February it's over 8% in the past year. Employee compensation is a concern. We've discussed that many times in the budget process, and I was just trying to show us what we were at and what we could do as far as a percentage raise, because I get asked that a lot. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that I can.
Thank you.
Commissioner Denenberg.
If Commissioner Creasy's Are you finished, Clerk?
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
thought you were, Jerry, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to ask the question of our HR director. I am assuming, and I don't like to assume, that you have been in communication with the various departments and
Yes, ma'am.
working with them as to what they may be anticipating.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I just worked with Nathan this past week, so we were talking, and I'm not sure, I'm assuming everybody got their email from me this week that spoke to some of the turnover and the links to the payroll and what that looked like. And I know they are very heavy with data and graphs, and it's a lot of information to digest. So I try to send it out in groups so you can see what we're looking at. What you received this past week went back to the snapshot that I shared with you all in the fall, and what we looked like then and what we look like today and what that means and where that fits on the various. It's not specifically, I would not say one department. It's across the county, and it is needing to be hit at our entry-level positions. But when you update those entry-level positions, you have to know that those that are above that are also going to be impacted. So if you give a raise at that entry level, you're going to have to eventually look at giving those who are at level 3 and 4 an increase, or you've got those two too close together. So there's various things you have to look at when you're doing this, and I'm trying my best to communicate those on a level that helps everyone understand what that looks like. We do know that we lag in pay. We know that. We've known that for a while, and we've discussed it for a while. You all, I'll be honest, I've been in local government over 20 years, and that increase that commission gave at 4% last year is the largest increase I've ever received from a commission body. So thank you for that. That done a lot of good, but we're not through, and I think we know that. I think we're gonna have to continue to see that. And I can answer any specific questions if you would like on what we're seeing. The next email that's coming out, if you remember, what you received this week was on the pay scale that we currently have in place, the mid, max, which is for the Anderson County government, but we also removed the sheriff's office, EMS, and health department from that. So those were pulled out. You just got what the county had. This week you were to get the rest of that, or I'm sorry, next week you're getting the rest of that. I've been in touch with Tyler and the sheriff, and they're working on theirs, but as you know, with the changes, now their new salary scale has to be approved, and that's not went through the process yet. I have been in touch with Nathan to give you kind of a snapshot on what that looks like. I can tell you that the health department, they follow the state's pay scale, so there's not a lot of comparison that I can do there, but I can tell you that the state has approved that they receive a 5% increase on their starting rate, and they also gave it to their folks that were already there with the state. So we're seeing that happen because it is so hard to recruit and retain, which has helped them a whole lot. We've seen that impact their ability to recruit and retain as well. So all of that's being communicated, and I don't care if it's you have one-on-one meetings with you to help break that down and share how we come about the data that I'm putting forward, but I'm here to help in any way that I can. Like I said, Nathan and I work together really well. I work well with the sheriff's department. We share our information all the time. We try to stay on the same page, and I feel like we've done a great job at doing that. We just have to keep trudging forward.
Any questions for Director Whitaker? Hearing none. Thank you, ma'am. So, Robbie, what kind of motion are you looking for at this
Well-
point?
Tonight, on the calendar, the budget calendar, we need to reject or approve the budgets we have left as far as the general fund goes. That would include the sheriff budgets, county clerk, HR, mayor, or family justice center, if we want to include that position or not. That's what we have that's what needs to be done tonight. I mean, if we reject, then that department has 2 weeks to get us another budget, and we'll bring it back next month.
So our options are to approve all these as a group, or to approve each one individually, or?
And I would take them individually, for sure. Some of these were approved in budget hearings, but we bring that budget back to approve as a whole.
Because you needed to know what to add into the
Right.
final budget proposal.
Exactly.
Okay. So let me make sure I got these right. HR, mayor's office, county clerk, sheriff, and the Family Justice Center. Have I missed
Yes.
any?
And tourism.
Tourism. Okay.
That was the last one you handed us before the meeting.
I'm sorry.
That was just an amendment, I think.
That was a budget amendment that she's requesting tonight, but we also, she spoke at the budget hearings about our increased revenue,
Right.
and,
Right, and we went ahead and voted on that, didn't we?
yes.
Okay. So, if there's no objection from commission, we'll take each department's budget individually. Is that okay with everybody? All right, with that objection, do we have a motion for the approval of the Human Resources Department's budget?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Denenberg, second by Commissioner Jameson to approve the Human Resources budget. Any discussion?
Yes.
Commissioner Smallridge?
Yeah. Are we, these budgets we're about to take action on, do they include say a 5%? I think you had.
No, that just includes
That's
the,
not included in
No,
any of the
that is
Be a
budgets.
later
that
discussion.
just is included with the, they had a request above the budget guidelines, an increase in their budget, so we are approving that increase in their budget.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried. The next budget,
I'm gonna be voting, since my request wasn't followed through from the beginning, I'm gonna be voting no against all budgets.
all right, sir. Next item will be the mayor's budget. Do we have a motion?
Move for approval?
Commissioner Smallridge moves to approve the mayor's budget proposal. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jameson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no.
No.
Motion carried. Next item will be the county clerk, or as my grandma used to call it, the county court clerk's budget. Do we have a motion?
So
Old-fashioned language, isn't it, Jerry?
moved.
Commissioner Denenberg moves to approve the county clerk's budget proposal. Do we have a second?
Second?
Second by Commissioner Smallridge. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no.
No.
Motion carried. Then we have the sheriff's budget.
We take them individually to each budget, because they're different.
Yeah, how many budgets do we have within the sheriff's department?
There are
Four?
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and the 54, four of them.
Okay,
Commissary's already approved. There was no increase there.
so what would be the first one?
The 5411 Sheriff's Department, the 54110, the, for deputies sheriff, it's increasing, from 6,157,097 to 6,254,771. That does have a 5 to 6% increase in starting, for the starters.
That's what you were explaining earlier,
Yes,
correct?
in the budget.
Okay. So do we have a motion on it?
So moved.
Commissioner Denenberg moves to approve the first, give me an identifier number on that, Robbie, I'm sorry.
54110.
54110 for the sheriff's office budget 54110. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Creasy. Any discussion? Director Mays.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The increase that Director Holbrook's talking about, majority of that is coming from gasoline increase. We actually increased it a little bit from the last, as we had some bills pop up the last couple of weeks. So the increase that you're seeing there is a gasoline request. And I do want to talk, if I may, just briefly about the adjustments that we have made internally in this budget specifically. Patrol deputies, we have, so let me back up. We've had two positions that one has, two have retired. And as a command staff, we elected to not fill those positions and to absorb duties amongst other individuals. So the increase in pay that these deputies are receiving is because of that money being spread out amongst those deputies. And that covers our school resource officers, our patrol deputies, and court security. One thing that Director Holbrook and I have talked about, he may not remember, let me just say this too. This guy does a heck of a job, and I feel like we work very, very well together, and I appreciate the conversations we've got to have over the last couple of weeks, so last 4 years really. But one of the things that I would like to throw in there, and I know it's kind of Johnny come lately, but here I am, is one thing that we did not do across the board in any department, in any budget that we have, is look at our corporals and above. Now, we felt like that they, in comparison to our entry-level positions, obviously we're making more money. But what we're at now is I feel like that we have competitive wages for our entry-level folks. But our corporals and sergeants, I would like to add $1 an hour to their raises as well across the board. That would be a total increase of about $76,000, and that's all budgets combined. That's jail and operations, those two budgets. Because I think they deserve it. They do a great job. They answer calls just like deputies do, and at the jail they work the floor and do the things that those guys do. So that's one of the, we can do that in our existing budget right now, but it would be undoubtedly a little bit of a increase in the budget. But let me say this, and this is something, I don't know if Mr. Holbrook has factored this into the revenue numbers, is that our jail is in the process of some accreditations through TCI. The first accreditation, I don't want to, jinx ourselves, but it seems more than attainable. I mean, if we don't attain it, it's because we just didn't fill out the paperwork. And what that would do is increase our state revenue about $100,000 on the board bill. If we get the second tier, which I think is again just as attainable, that would increase it another $100,000. So you're looking at, I believe, $200,000 and increased revenue for the county, which would more than pay for this adjustment that we would like to make for our corporals and sergeants effective immediately, which undoubtedly would increase next year's budget and have a little money left over for the county. So
are you saying corporals and above, or just corporals and sergeants?
just corporals and sergeants.
Okay. And that's for jail and patrol?
Jail, patrol, and court services. Yeah.
Are we gonna take that separately?
That's what I was getting ready to ask, because
If the motion that's on the floor, I can vote on that because I'm not gonna receive a raise. But on what you're adding, I will have to abstain.
Yeah, so, and I would, just to be, Director Holbrook and I, this is a discussion we've had this week. And there's been a lot of stuff happen in between. If this body would like to take that up, we could figure it out. It's $76,400 across the board is what the total amount is. That is a request, on behalf of the sheriff. At the end of the day, we respect this body and what this body decides to choose.
I would just like to take it separate because the guys that work with me on the road, I know they need this more than anything. And to be honest with you, I need them to get this raised because I don't want to be by myself. And I'm going to be out there by myself if they don't get something. So I would like the opportunity to be able to vote yes for them a raise without me being involved in it. But
so that,
I'm at the will of the commission.
that kind of takes care of the question I was going to ask Robbie, because a motion's on the floor to approve the sheriff's department's budget. This request would require an amendment to the motion, I was assuming, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Because that's not calculated in these, and that is not calculated in this amount.
Right, so it would be an amendment to the motion. So if we took them separately, to Commissioner Waddell's point, he would be able to vote on the first one, and then how would this request come about? What would be the proper procedure for bringing it up for the additional 76,400?
Well, honestly, we haven't discussed raises for any department. I'm not,
Wait
I
until we're
don't-
discussing it for everybody?
I would just approve in my opinion, it's my opinion, y'all, you have, I mean, you're all vote for this, but I would approve the budgets as is, and if we need to make adjustments, like a 4% raise, or a 5% raise, or a 3%, whatever, no percent raise, I'm not saying anything, I'm not suggesting
I
anything,
understand.
but, it would come later, like we have done in the past.
And I would just say again, if I may, to end, is, you know, we operate under civil service rules, which in and of itself can be a headache, and honestly can be very, what's the right, I mean, it almost kind of, it restrains you from doing a lot of things with your department. But everything that we've done thus far with the dollar, I don't even like to call it a raise, I call them adjustments. Now, if the county, you know, there are raises, but everything has been done within accordance of civil service. We're not even with $1 an hour for everybody that we've done so far and that we've asked to do, we're not even close to midway through the grades in civil service. I mean, it's not even remotely close. Because the pay scale that's in civil service, if we followed it, if the funds were available and we followed it to a T, these guys would be making a whole lot more money than they're making now. But we've, again, tried to, you know, stay within the confines of what we have and you know, operate at the will of the body, and I feel like we've done that. But just know, you know, that's something that we do have to, and like Ms. Whitaker said, we have to go in front of civil service because pay's been adjusted, and it does look a little different, and so the body has to approve, and that's why she doesn't have the numbers yet for you guys to review. Because again, as you all know, 2 weeks ago, this was a very fluid and very new thing, because we were doing our best to work with Mr. Holbrook to not blow this budget out of the water and really do what's best for us and for the entire county. So.
Hey, Tyler, I think hearing from you tonight, I kind of understand what you all have done for the increases in pay is, from what I remember, exactly what Director Sweet did. He had some positions that he got rid of, took the money from them, and gave his employees raises because he couldn't staff the ambulances. This sounds exactly like what you all are doing because you couldn't staff. You have so many vacancies. So you took, if you can't fill them all, you take the money and you had some people leave, retire, and you took that money and you added it to the pay. Is that correct?
Yeah, just to be really quick on the jail
And
side.
Nathan, that's what you all did, correct?
Yeah, on the jail side, fortunately, we had, but not fortunately, very unfortunately, we had some openings and a lot of money left for this fiscal year. So to take care of the problems now, we had more than enough to do what we did. Now, in order, because of the salary agreements that we're under and moving forward past this fiscal year, we had to budget more money in order to, because in a perfect world, what if we got fully staffed? Well, that money needed to be there for everybody. Now, 10 months ago, I thought Robbie was crazy by increasing prisoner boarding. I said, don't do that, you're crazy. Well, I was the crazy one, he's right. We've hit those numbers, we're going to hit those numbers. And with this new adjustments in the tiers, we're going to exceed those. So I think those factors there covered, because part of that increase in the jail was medical and in salary increases and gasoline. So it wasn't just wages. So that roughly $297,000 in increase was a culmination of things that the board bill would cover with the increase, and then the $76,000 that I'm referencing would be would still be under that. But again, you know, I know that we're here today asking that in April, but it's something that we would love for this body to consider.
Well, just keeping us on track, Commissioners, in order to deal with the request that Director Mays just made, it would require an amendment to the motion that's already on the floor. Does anybody want to make a motion to amend the motion?
Mr. Chairman, I think we ought to deal with what we've got in front of us.
I concur.
And not add gasoline to the fire in this meeting.
Uh,
He
And
said
it-
Johnny come lately, and that's what it was, Johnny come lately. My opinion.
I understand. Commissioner Creasy?
I wholeheartedly agree with my fellow Commissioner, Jerry White. They prepared a budget, we made a motion to pass it, and it was second, and this sounds like he didn't like the budget that he put together.
That's
and he's
not true,
wanting to
Mr.
change
Reese.
it.
That's not at all what I said. Not even close.
So without a motion to amend, we're back on the original motion, which is to approve the budget as presented. Commissioner Fritz?
Question. What you're talking about, does it have any impact at all on next year's budget?
Which part, Mr. Fritz?
Any at all? I mean, just like we approved,
Looks like Mr., yeah,
we
like,
approved a position for Jeff Cole, because, what he was gonna do was, that position was gonna be fully funded by his own department, gonna require no additional funding whatsoever for the, county. So, the dollar increase, you're saying, is it, gonna come strictly out of your funds and will require no additional funding from the county?
so to cover it all, you know, like Mr. Cole's office is a revenue-based office, so he can increase and do all those things. The jail and the so the dollar increase on patrol side or operation side is covered by two positions we're not filling. The jail side, the increase there, we have increased prisoner boarding revenue to cover that.
So there's gonna be
But the
no-
$76,000 would be covered by the prisoner boarding revenue. And just to be complete, you know, honest with Commissioner White and Commissioner Creasy, we're very happy with the budget that we have. But I hope that this body understands that this is a very fluid situation. We're not unique to this. We're not the only department that's facing situations such
So
as
the answer
this.
to my question, though.
I did it, yes, I did.
The dollar, the thing is being totally funded by your department, and it's not costing no more to the county.
I'm not, Commissioner Fritz, we don't, all of our money, this revenue goes straight into the general fund. Our expenses come out of the general
No,
fund.
what I'm saying, though, if you got people you're not hiring, and, that's money you already got, and this money,
On the operations side, that's true.
and it's being paid by that money you already have.
On operations, yes. In corrections, no.
And that, and then on the corrector side, you're offering, gonna pay for it through, your.
We've
money.
increased the revenue code,
So that you're not gonna require any additional funds from the county.
not,
I have not increased those revenue funds yet because we aren't guaranteed we're getting that. So it's kind of like the sales tax 2 or 3 years ago when we wanted to balance the budget with that. We didn't know then what kind of sales tax we were getting. We do now. We don't know for sure if we're going to get this increased detention facility revenue. I mean, I believe, Tyler, that they are going to do what they can to get it, but that's not a guarantee. So it's what it was originally at 1.6 million. And that's not, I didn't increase that $200,000. And I think that's something, if we get that in next year's budget, we can look at increasing that then. I mean, we can do a lot of things, but,
But that'll be next year's budget.
right, well, that's what we're discussing right now. is next.
Well, I'm
But
just
we-
curious, my question was, if it's, curious right now, if it's gonna be no cost to the county.
Well, I can answer that question. It would cost the county, yes.
Okay.
I mean, there's no way it wouldn't.
Any further discussion? Just for clarification, just for the record, since what we're voting on is the original Sheriff's Depot budget that does not include pay raises for corporals and sergeants, it will be legal for Commissioner Waddell and I to vote on it, because it does not increase our salaries. So we'll make sure. Commissioner Smalley.
Right, for corporals and sergeants, in your current budget, are they getting an increase? Nothing at all? In other words, they will only get whatever we do.
Whatever the county
general,
passes.
If
Yeah.
we do a general.
Corporal and above, yes. So everything that was adjusted was entry level and existing rank and file employees.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no.
No.
Motion carried. Next is the Family Justice Center, if I am correct. I'm sorry, we still got more in the sheriff's office. I'm sorry, go
The
ahead.
jail, 54210.
5421
Zero, yes.
0. Do we have a motion to approve sheriff's budget 54210, i.e. the jail?
I move to approve.
Commissioner Creasy moves to approve, seconded by Commissioner Denenberg. And just for the record, Robbie, does this affect salaries?
It has the entry-level salaries that were increased at the jail.
And that's entry-level salaries?
Yes.
Any further discussion?
Is that the
1881. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no.
No.
Motion carried.
Okay, the Correctional Incentive Program, 54230, had no increases.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Denenberg to approve the sheriff budget 54230, seconded by Commissioner White. Robbie, specifically, just for the record, what does that code do?
It's
What
the
does it fund?
Correctional Incentive Program. You have one employee that works for the sheriff's department that is,
What's that?
The Correctional Incentive Program, the one employee you have, what, he was asking me what that does.
I just want to make sure I can vote on it or not.
I would think, yes,
Okay,
yeah.
all right. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Motion carried.
Okay, and the last is dispatch. Other emergency management has a slight, it's actually a slight decrease,
What number is it?
54490.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Denenberg. Second by Commissioner White. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no.
No.
Motion carried.
And then the District Attorney General's office with the added
Family
position
Justice.
of, it was covered by a grant last year. We still have the grant, but it took out the administrative position in the grant. And General Clerk has asked the county to fund it.
Move to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Denenberg moves to approve the budget for the Family Justice Center proposal, seconded by Commissioner Creasy. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no.
No.
Motion carried. And tourism,
Tourism will be the last one, yes, that we discussed at budget hearings. Yeah.
we ready for it?
Yes.
Okay.
Before we move, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'm looking for that the amount of money increased in the position we just
That
approved.
Family Justice Center, for that position and benefits, it's around $80,000.
Yeah.
And that was covered in the grant earlier.
It was, yes. It was covered, in this current budget year we're in, it's covered by a grant.
Well, actually, that was a little bit different. The majority of that was covered by a JAG grant that the District Attorney General Conference had. That went away. And the District Attorney General's Conference is another body that receives grants, and they were funding that position, but their funding was gone.
Okay, so this
So then the
80,000 is, and that's in benefits, that's all the benefits? or
Salary.
that-
Salary and benefits for that position. It's the director of the.
So if we approve this is a full-time position from now on forever?
Yes. Well,
As long as we have the
as
grant.
long as we, yeah.
And how long will that be?
Well, as long as the federal justice center stays under the county. So,
Is this the little fireball lady that came in here talking?
yeah, that's what
I'll approve that, yeah.
Yeah, that's her.
Yeah, yeah.
Motion by Commissioner White to approve the motion for the fireball lady. Do we have a second?
She was
Second
good.
by Commissioner Denenberg. Any discussion?
I think we already voted on that.
We already have?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Now, we're on the tourism now, and it's
Tourism.
budgeted revenues,
She's
expenditures.
fireball too. So that's good. Do we have a motion to approve the tourism budget?
So moved.
Commissioner White moves to approve, second by Commissioner Jameson. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no.
No.
Motion carried. Is that all the
That's all.
22-23 proposed budgets?
Yes.
All right, moving on, the EMS budget request and recruitment retention. Director Sweet, go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. I guess maybe to go back, I know Commissioner Waddell had a question earlier. Very similar. The jail, I think, has done this before as well. That's where we kind of learned it from. We had positions we couldn't fill. We took the pay for those positions and increased our staff's pay to get them up to what,
Retention.
bring it up to
Right.
what the industry is calling for, and for that retention.
Gotcha. Thanks.
So, I've heard actually a couple comments made to me here recently about people saying our retention is better, our recruitment has improved, our retention is better. While that's true, I took the context, maybe I'm taking the context wrong, that's being said and that there are no issues with us in recruiting and retention anymore. This year, closing out, we're gonna probably be over 20% turnover. And that's an improvement from what we have been doing. But I'm not satisfied with 20% turnover. That's not a good place for us to be. And that's not the target for my department either. My concern is that there's comments being made that we're being lost in the shadow. We're okay. We need to not do anything there. It's fine. But it's not going to stay there with that type of mentality. I did want to expand a little bit, as I said previously, public safety wise in this country is very hard to recruit, and I think even harder to retain, because when they do get into the work and they start doing the work and they start looking outside, they see things that may pay better, have better hours, and have a whole lot less stress than what they would see in a public safety profession. We have to continue, Anderson County has to continue to try and set us up for success. Looking at the budgets that we proposed, we were told to propose budgets without pay raises. So when we come back to have these discussions and we bring up about raising other people's pay, it's not that we're being late to the game, it's just that we followed the rules to start with. The departments were not raising pay because that was the rules that we were giving during the budget process, and that pay increases and pay adjustments would be discussed during the budget cycle, which is right now, which is with this committee. So we're not here, I don't think it was, I can't speak for any other department, but our department is not here saying that, hey, we forgot about this and we didn't bring it up and we didn't submit a request. We followed the rules. And now we want to come and talk about $13.25 starting out for an EMT, $15 starting out for an AEMT, $17.50 for a paramedic is not the high end. Now, I could find departments that are paying lower and they have worse recruitment problems. I could find departments that are paying better and have worse recruitment problems than we have experienced over the last 6 to 8 months. But us making no change, our department making no change, you can't sustain that. You can't maintain that. We had a good 5 months where we didn't have any employees leave. We had a lady leave We knew she was gonna leave because she told us months ago. She got her dream job. She'd been trying to get it for years. But that was the first person in 5 months. I haven't experienced a 5-month gap. My records go back to fiscal year 16. This is the first time I've had 5 months where I didn't have an employee leave. I've got 5 to 6 that have told us they are applying for other jobs. It's not necessarily what I would say a bad thing. You're going to have good turnover still. But we're going to continue to have that turnover, and I really would like to highlight that for public safety because I know that realm. I don't know the other departments. I don't know what they're, I can't speak to what they're seeing. I've heard a lot of people talk about back in the 80s and 90s how big of a deal it was to work for county government. You know, I wasn't here then. I don't know what that's like, but that's not necessarily the same as I've heard from others that other departments are seeing people that will leave more frequently than we used to. EMS is very nomadic. They will just jump from one place to the other. Who's paying the most now? Who's got the biggest bonus? I'll go work there for a couple of years and I'll wait for others and then they'll just move around. They're very nomadic. I don't know if the law enforcement is the same way, but EMS is very nomadic that they will do that. And they're not worried about a retirement. They're not worried about TCRS. They're not worried about what's 30 years from now going to look like. They're worried about what can I get today. So I'm not looking for any kind of ask right now, but I wanted to at least have the opportunity to discuss that, yes, EMS is doing better, but that's not sustainable without any movement. We can't stay still and expect us to progress forward. So I wanted to have that opportunity. I didn't know where that was fitting in the cycle. So I asked Robbie if I could just have a few minutes of your all's time to make sure that I could share that as well.
Questions for Director Sweet? If you don't mind, I think Chuck's had his arm up for a minute over there. Commissioner Fritz, go ahead, sir.
This is why I've said, from the very beginning, I am not against the, sheriff's department, and I hadn't voted, you notice my votes over the years, I've been very strong for the sheriff's department. We asked, as he's made a comment, we have asked all departments to submit no tax increase budgets, and we'd take up salaries and all that stuff in the budget committee. That's the reason I asked the HR director to look at our 3 lower departments, because there are more than one department in this county that is got employees that are hurting. And I've always been a commissioner who has been very supportive of all of our employees and not just employee of one department. As you see, as he just said, the EMS has a turnover ratio of over 20%. Their people are hurting too. The highway department people folks are hurting. And yes, and I'm going to ask our finance director so we can, as a commission and a committee, can be educated that our next meeting that we have, that they come back and present to this committee how much money we give the highway department out from our sales tax, because we give the highway department so much money through our sales tax. And we also give a percentage of the highway department property tax to help their property department along in those areas. So there is things we can do to help the different departments. And there's the things that we as this committee can do to help the different departments to do things like salary adjustments and stuff of that nature. So, I mean, we do have more than one department and one group of employees that are making less than they do at Burger King, McDonald's, and everywhere else. And it's our job as a committee and as a commission to help all our employees, not just one specific group. I mean, every one of these guys have got families. Every one of these guys have got households they need to take care of also. And it's our job as the commission to take care of everyone who works in this county. And we need to step up and do something for our employees. All of them, not just one, but all of them. And that's the reason I'm going to ask, that at our next meeting, that our finance director come back and show, how, at least through the highway department, how we've been able to help them over the years by giving them so much money through our sales tax that we receive, and also how much money we have given them in property tax to help them operate their departments.
I can answer that right now.
Excellent comment.
We give, the highway department receives from the tax levy $523,011. And this year's budget from sales tax, we have $1 million budgeted from the highway department. We give them 37% currently of the sales tax we bring in from Anderson County's portion. We split that 63% general fund, 37% highway. So there's $1.5 million that the county, that's funded from the property tax and sales tax.
And soon by more and more cars get fuel efficient, and by using more cars that are battery operated, and not people going to that much, we've had to rely on this type of money to keep our highway department going and to do the work that they do. And we still have, citizens complain, well, why hadn't this road been paved? Why hadn't that road been paved? Mr. Long does a tremendous job in doing what he does with what little money he does have. But, and I think his employees stick with him because they're older employees who have been here for a long time, and just because of the longevity and maybe the benefits that they've received. But trying to maybe when they start retiring or leaving, him try to retain newer employees, it's probably going to be for him even harder to do. So that's why I'm saying we have got to step up and take care of everyone in this county, not just a few.
Commissioner Denenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Something that has been pointed out frequently is the fact that for many years, departments were asked to come with budgets without any increase in taxes. And I think part of the problem we are facing now with salaries is simply because of that, which I find a little bit disgusting. But anyway. None of us like to pay more property taxes, but I certainly would rather do that than to see people not being paid what their time is worth. But my question to you, Nathan, what do you see that you're going to need to help with your retention? Do you have any plan or any thoughts on that?
So we've made moves over the past couple of years to help improve that. So we're seeing some positive trends there. We're teaching the EMT, advanced EMT in-house now. We establish agreements to where people have to fulfill their time or pay that back, which has been beneficial in
Well, and the
a
new
couple
schedule
cases.
that you did too, I think was also very
Correct.
beneficial.
New schedule is beneficial. So we, internally of our department, we are trying to make moves that help offset that as well. So I'm not coming here and saying, hey, I need you all to fix this problem. We're working extremely hard in our department to make it better as well. Ultimately, I don't get to determine the pay for my staff. This body gets to determine that. That's one of the most frequent questions I get from new hires. How do I get a raise? So we wait for county commission to determine if we get a raise. My department, as we said last year, my department doesn't have the revenue to increase pay. I can't change how much I bill. This body determines that. I can't make those changes. So unless this body makes a determination if we're gonna increase our pay, I don't get to do that. I don't get to raise the starting pay for our staff and just make those adjustments company-wide, because again, I don't have the funds to do it. Unless we could say we're gonna be shorter in other areas and have to come back and get out of fund balance, but that's just not going to be sustainable. We know that. We had this discussion last year when we did the 4%. EMS cannot pay for that. We don't have the revenue to do that. So as far as for my department, we're going to have to keep up our pay. But as far as EMS paying for it, I guess I could come back with numbers on what it would look like if we raised our fees. I don't think that's necessarily the right or best decision, but if that's what this body wants, I could put information together. Again, that's not my recommendation.
No, I was looking to see if you had solutions to the possible problem that you're facing with retention. I know that salary is always one of them.
Yeah, salary is gonna be one of them.
That's always top of the list, I'm sure.
Yes.
But if there's anything else that your employees and staff might see as a large benefit over something else.
I think there's plenty of ideas. We see other areas that surround us that have health insurance for employees without premiums. I know that's a huge cost, but how attractive is that if you can come work here and your health insurance for you and your family is no cost to you? Stuff like that, longevity pay. You want people to stay longer, start offering them those bonuses that they can stay longer, which I think is some stuff that is being looked by other people. You know, we see that there are a lot of people that want to come to an organization that they feel welcomed at, that there's stability at, and that they're going to have an opportunity to grow. So we're trying to create an environment in our department for that. But again, one of the biggest things my department and many others is we don't get to necessarily just flat out determine the pay. You know, unless we have the fortunate situation, I take that back. We have the unfortunate situation of maybe not being able to fill positions and we repurpose that money. But what we've seen time and time again, when that happens, our call volume is shot through the roof. So we took those positions away 3-4 years ago. Now we could really use to have those positions back. But if I would have not done that decision 4 years ago, I'd be in worse shape than I am today. So it is that cycle where you will see that you may eliminate positions. I may eliminate 2 positions on an ambulance, 4 positions on the ambulance because we couldn't fill them, but now I need the ambulance back. So unfortunately, we do have those opportunities that come up, but that's not a sustainable answer either.
Thank you.
Any further questions for Director Sweet?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Nathan. Next item is the Arp Retention Payment.
Okay, I spoke briefly about this last meeting at the budget hearings, and a lot of the conversation we've been having tonight about employee retention, pay raises, paying our employees more. I think this ideal could help with some of that. It's something we can do for the employees right now, and it doesn't come from any of our funds. It would come from the ARP money that we have, the $14 million. This is a plan that the city of Clinton has already approved, and I think probably already paid their employees. Roger happened, the city manager, been visiting the mayor one day, and he brought this plan up, and the mayor loved it. And so she got, like I said, got on the phone with me and said, find out about this plan. I think it's something we could do for our employees. Well, it is a really good plan. There were 3 risk factors or 3 factors involved, and the first factor is the risk factor employees had during COVID, during April of 2020 to December of 2020. Like Nathan, I emailed him and asked him to give me his employees' risk factor. Those that were on the ambulance, paramedics, their risk factor would be 4. They had a really high risk factor. Sheriff Department, a lot of those employees would be 4s. That combines with the salary factor during that range of 2020 from 1 to 4. The higher you make, the lower the rating of 1. So if you made a really low amount of money in a high risk factor, you would be an 8. And that would be divided by 100, and your retirement wages are gross during that time frame. We would multiply that by that, and you would get that would be considered factored in with $50 for each month that you work between January 2021 and February of 2022, which we were still dealing with the pandemic then. So the total cost for this, for the ARP bonus, is $640,000. That could go down some. It could go up just a little bit. There's still some minor adjustments, but I would like to see the budget committee, I'm asking for us to discuss this, approve this, and we could take it to commission and get it approved and maybe do something for the employees. I think that would ease the burden too of some of the cost of living increase, morale for the county. You can obviously see in some departments, as Commissioner Fritz talks about it, some people aren't paid. The highway department, these employees have a high risk factor. They make less money, so their payments would be more. So I think it's a good plan, and I think it's something we should consider.
So all our employees eligible?
Everyone except elected officials, and there are some questions as where an exempt employee, meaning an employee who can't earn comp time, would be possibly exempt too.
As long as it covers all of our employees.
It covers every employee in the county.
Elected officials, I care less for.
Right.
They were on their own, but as long as it covers all our employees.
This is calculated on every employee in the county. This would cover every employee in the highway department, library, tourism, you name it. That is full-time and currently employed with the county at this time.
Because during this COVID, we asked a lot of our employees.
I agree.
And I think they went far and beyond. And anything we could do to reward them or pay them back some for what they went through and did, be showing our gratitude to them.
Is that a motion to approve?
That'd be a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Creasy.
I'm gonna be abstaining.
Myself and Commissioner Waddell will have to abstain for cause. That'll bring the number down to 6, which means it will take 4 to pass, if my memory serves me correct. Any discussion on the motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner White?
why don't we, get this in black and white and chew on it for a week or two?
Oh, this, like meaning total numbers? Or, this is as black and white as you can get it. It's
I
$640,000.
ain't seen nothing in black and white.
It's on the last page of your, it's got a C on it. Very last page of yours.
Well, I've tore all mine to pieces.
Let's see, right here. That's the total cost.
Well, I still like to look at it for a
I
week.
didn't include employees' names, obviously, for a we can't do that. Well, shouldn't do that kind of thing, but it is factored in every employee with all the risk factors, and that is the total cost to the county.
Any further discussion? I'm sorry, go ahead, sir.
Has our HR person,
I've discussed it with her and the mayor. I went over all of it with her, yes.
Good job.
And I think it's something she's in favor of. It's similar to longevity pay, but it's during COVID time. The county's not responsible for any of these funds. It would come out of the ARP funds, out of Fund 121 for every one of the employees, so.
well, I have respect for you, Robbie, but I'd like to hear the mayor or the HR person endorse this. If we're gonna vote on it.
Mayor Frank?
I do endorse this idea. I think I like what the city put together in terms of a matrix, so it's not just a blanket across the board equivalent payment for each person. So if you're, for instance, if you're out in the public, you're directly exposed, it does give you additional points for that. So I am in favor of this, yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
HR?
Director Whitaker?
Yes, I've discussed it with Robbie on more than one occasion, and I'm in favor of it as well. The employees deserve to be recognized for the hard work. We were deemed necessary, and we were all on the front line. I do like the matrix as well because it does recognize folks like EMS, Sheriff's Office as a higher risk, and even, you know, our building and grounds, they were here cleaning up everything, spraying the rooms, and it recognizes them as a higher risk as well. So I'm in favor as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for indulging me.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Smart.
Yeah, I had the same thought as Commissioner White. You know, we got, and I'm not opposed to this, but we just got it this evening as the first time, or when we got our budget. And I guess I'd like to see a little more information, explanation than what we've gotten so far. And again, I'm not opposed to this at all, but is there a problem if we had to wait till?
No, there's no problem to wait at all.
And I may be the only one that needs some reassurance or some more information. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no.
No,
Just so I can go on the record, all in favor, raise your hand, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Motion carries.
I voted no.
Yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we had at least 4 to pass, because Denver and I had to abstain. Next item on the business new agenda,
When will this,
that, whatever I just said.
Mr. Chairman, when will this take place?
Well, it will have to be approved by full commission before it could
All
even,
right, say it's approved, when will this?
that, it could happen the next week. It could happen the following week after commission, yes. If the commission approves this, we're talking,
Let the record reflect Commissioner
wouldn't take long to
Creasy
get
is
out.
absent.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
there's
sir.
one item under new business from tourism. It's a transfer that does involve one payroll line item, so it would need to be approved by full commission, but it's for $17,300 and increasing communication 800, trustees commission 1,000, tourism contributions 10,000, and tourism enhancement projects 5,500.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Denenberg, and that is to approve the tourism. Do we have a number on that amendment, Robbie?
Not yet. I just got it right before we walked down
Okay.
here.
Let the record reflect it'll be the last amendment received to add to the agenda under new business for tourism.
It could be
Do we have-
32.
32. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Jameson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no.
No.
1 no, motion carried. Any more new business? Any old business? Hearing none, we are adjourned.